Hello, everyone. Hello, good afternoon. I welcome you all to another episode of our leadership table. My name is Stanley Agoha, and I'll be your anchor for today. I don't know, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it's good to have you all here. Um, I would like us to appreciate our host for today, and let me also use this moment to introduce him. Our host for today is Daniels Akpan, and yeah, he's a Mandela Washington and Yali RSC fellow. So it's good to have you join us today, Daniels, and we really appreciate you for your time. Okay,
Thank you
so
so much.
yes, welcome, Daniels. Straight to the first question. Being a Mandela Washington and Yali RLC fellow, we all know that these two fellowships are very competitive. So, what are the traits or qualities that that you have that got you to be selected to participate in those fellowships?
Thank you so much, Stanley, I guess. Thank you for
Yes.
this opportunity. And I must say that I am excited and happy to join in today's episode of this chat. I want to say thank you to the leadership of the RLC North Central for this initiative. And I also want to say thank you to the uh, general leadership body or executive of the RLC. It's an honor to be part of this program. For any reason, it's a privilege and a rare opportunity to be an alumni or a fellow of the RLC. I will start by answering the question and say that being a fellow of the RLC had been a wonderful experience for me. As a matter of fact, I would say that that experience up till today, as I speak with you, had been one of the most inspiring and motivating experience of my entire professional life. Uh, and just to go straight to your question, or to go straight to the answer to your question, one of the things that had kept me or made me a little bit outstanding, that had kept me, made me apart from other people, that in a way that I will say would be the fact that I don't easily give up on things. I applied 3 times for the RLC, and I think I got in on the fourth application. So, and of course, you know what it means to apply and always get the political letter that they usually give, saying you had a very wonderful application. Excuse me, if my application was that wonderful, why are you rejecting it?
You would have given it to me, yes.
You would have given it to me. You had a wonderful application, and your application was so strong, but unfortunately at this moment we cannot have you in this program. So I mean, it's heartbreaking to mention a few. After putting in so much of your time into the application process, and of course we all know that the application processes are quite long and the questions are very critical, and you know, they are not a straight questions, they are more of an applied question. So it's not something that you will just write anyhow. You need time to creatively put in your tenses and logically checking your construct your sentences and all of those things. So you can imagine the investment of time into those application processes, and then you hear we are sorry, we apologize, and all of those statements. So for me, I get that often, and somehow because of what I felt I needed, I know I was coming from a background where I was not, I had no information or knowledge about civic engagement or social entrepreneurship. I am a glass scientist by training. I was trained at Ahmadu Bello University as a glass scientist, and I have lectured glass science as a scientist at one of the high institutions in Kaduna State for 6 years. I mean, looking into till 2019, I've been a lecturer of glass science, but then I had a passion for something different, which was outrightly not in the field that I had been trained on. Um, so for me, I needed some level of training, some level of network, some level of exposure around those areas. And I didn't have so much of them. So it behooved me to keep trying, even when I feel, I know, bro, this is not your area. You just have to keep trying. And I kept trying until I got into RLC, and from RLC in 2018, I got into MWF in 2019. And in 2020, I was also the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I was also the Yali Influencer of the Year, both in 2019 and 2020, which I won at Washington, D.C. So for me, it's been a lot of experience. And I think one of those things that had kept me had been my ability to learn very fast, and also to not give up. And then I will also add this third factor, that there is the factor of luck or God. Those who believe in God will call it God, and those who don't believe in God will call it maybe fate or luck or something. I don't know whichever one we choose to call it, but I know that there is, no matter, irrespective of how good you are, there is that component of maybe when it's your time, it's your time. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. There's that component of
Yes.
that good factor that comes into play for us. I mean, it's just your time. I mean, I've seen people who are better than me, people who write better than me, but they don't get some of these opportunities that I get. And I've also seen other people who I am better than, and they get some other opportunities, and I'm like, oh boy, I thought I was the one that helped you write that, review the application. How comes you got and I didn't get? So it's not about, most of the times, it's not just about your ability to write creatively or write well. There is also the component of your timing, supernatural, or that God factor that comes into play. So all of these things split together to help us get to where we're headed. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. So there you have it. You need to be persistent, you need to keep trying, because even if it's your time, and you have luck on your side, if you don't apply or go for it that particular season, you're not going to get it. So there you have it.
Exactly.
Keep improving, keep trying, and definitely, some opportunity would come your way. Thank you, Mr. Daniels. So those fellowships, how were they able to impact your life? And during that period, were there any things you feel like you could have done better?
Well, to start with, I would say that this fellowship have impacted me positively, and for the rest of my life, I'm not sure I will be able to recover from those impacts. And to start with, I'm going to reiterate back to where I'm coming from. For me, I grew up in a slum in Kaduna State, a very low level, low background slum. I mean, when I talk about a slum, I mean a slum. And I attended school and studied a course that was far totally different from what I am doing today. And I had no background, no experience, no mentorship. I had no training. I had no exposure whatsoever around the area I was venturing into the area of my passion. And to make the matter worse, in my community or in my area, there were no social enterprises. There were no civic leaders or NGOs that were working specifically in those areas that would have made it a bit easier for me to go to learn or volunteer for. So understanding my background, I knew that I had to do something out of the blues. I knew I had to go out of my way. I had to do something different. And I knew that if I needed to succeed in the area of my passion, I needed to get all the experience, the training, the exposures, and everything. So that led me into branching out from my location to going to Abuja, Lagos, and other places to get trainings and build myself. And that was how I came across the Yali RLC program. And then I got involved in it. But before then, I was also the first coordinator for Kaduna State Yali network. Yali is about, and the program and all of those things. And when I finally got into Yali RLC in Ghana, for the first time, though I had traveled to Ghana before previously, but for the first time, I was exposed to people from different parts of the world. I mean, across Africa.
Yeah.
My cohort, I think we were about 126 thereabouts. And we had an amazing young people coming in from 9 different countries. And these people came in with their own perspective to life. They came in with different skills, experiences. We had a wonderful cohort, and we all lived in the same hotel at Gimpa. I mean, in the same place at Gimpa. And for the first time, I was submerged with a whole lot of people from different parts. I mean, my perspective to life automatically began to drift. It began to change. The way I see things began to change automatically, even without me knowing. And
Yeah.
we had cultural shock and all of those kind of things. And we had trainings, but I can say today that that experience had helped me to develop a world view. Now I have a better perspective of what the world looks like. I can see things from the eyes of my friend in different parts of the country. I understand the dynamics of things, the way things happen and all that. So, and today I can say that I have contacts in Ghana, in Liberia. As a matter of fact, in Liberia, I have a room. Anytime I go to Liberia, I don't need to go to the hotel. I have a room in Liberia. I can just go and, I mean, I am welcome there. And in Ghana, if I go to Ghana, I don't have to pay for hotel rooms. My friend have a hotel. All I need to do is just inform him that, bro, I'm coming, and he books a room for me, and it's free of charge. So in different parts of the country, I mean, different parts of African countries, I've built this kind of family kind of network that I don't feel like a stranger anywhere I go to. I just feel like I'm already intertwined with these guys and these people, and we have a family. We've had to do programs with people from different parts of African countries, and this experience had been life-changing for me. And I don't think this would have been possible without the RLC program. And I don't know what to say, because my career, my professional drive had seriously improved since after the RLC program, because I've had people that have recommended me to different places in the world. I've had people that I have linked with to hold programs and a whole lot of things. So I would say that the RLC program had been very impactful. The same thing goes for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Through the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I've had grants I mean, the just concluded grant I had not too long ago came to me through Mandela Washington Fellowship, and a whole lot of professional experience. I've had to have different opportunity, including academic opportunities to study in the US, and so many opportunities that I cannot just count. I've had friends that are now from the US that are now part of my that are now board members in my organization. I've had people that I've had to collaborate, partner with from across the US and different parts of the world. And the network keep expanding every day. And also from the Mandela Washington Fellowship Alumni Association, we've had to collaborate. It's a very strong network, very terribly strong network that so much is going on there with very powerful and strong leadership, with funding opportunities coming in and professional development opportunities. So there is a whole lot that I would say that I have got to benefit from. I just can't begin to name all, but these are the few that I can just say for the few minutes that we have available.
Yeah. So the key benefit there is actually the networking opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so you're someone who seems interested in education. So what does quality education mean to you, and how can we get it, in Nigeria here? And then what how do you think it can impact our lives and solve some of the problems we are having?
I I have a great passion for education, and not just education. I have a very great passion for quality education,
Yeah.
because looking at where I am coming from, looking at my background, uh, I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a community, in a slum community, and I attended secondary school where we were about 120 something thereabout in my junior secondary school. It was a government school, and we had just 6 chairs and tables, 6 or 7 chairs and tables. So it was the survival of who came first to class. The rest of us sits on the ground, and in that community, we had our teachers. Our teachers will mostly come to school at the end of the month. So the moment salaries are about to be paid, that's the week before salaries are paid, you will see our teachers will come. And the week after salaries are paid, the teachers will also come. So because they need to come for evaluation, they need to come to, come and tick in the boxes and all of those things to get salary, and the week after salary for evaluation as well. So for the rest of the week, we were all on our own. So personally, because I grew up mostly in a Hausa dominated communities, and I saw my friends, specifically some of the girls I was eyeing as young as I was that time, those my female friends. And even though I was unable to say anything to them, but they were like, I like this girl, but I can't say anything. And then I'll see that, why is she not coming to school? She's been married off. And it was easy for most of the girls to be married off because nothing good or meaningful was coming out from the school. And for the guys, it was very easy for the young guys to drop out of school and begin farming or begin one trade or the other. And it was very difficult. Even for me at the time, I wasn't even having any interest because you just go to school, you play and play and play and come back. But then my dad was really concerned about me going to school. And then at the time I had to change my dad had to change my school to another school. So that concept of education had been in my mind growing up. And even when I went to school and studied industrial design with a specialization in glass technology, my mind cannot just leave the picture I had from my childhood still lives with me till today. And this is why my passion for education keeps growing. And I'm looking at what would my life have been like if I had not left that school, or if I had not been committed, and if I had not taken education seriously. Now I look at some of those guys and I go back to the community sometimes and I see so many things happening, and I be like, if this guy had an opportunity to be properly educated, I think these guys would have done something more better for themselves than what they are currently doing now. So for me, the concept of quality education is a concept where every individual has access to a mind transforming opportunity, have access to quality education that can help him or her to think independently. I mean, I'm not looking at a system of education that, teaches you what to think. I'm looking at a system of education that teaches you how to think. The system of education we have currently in Nigeria is the system that gives you a manual and go and think about this and bring it back and deliver it. But I'm looking at a system that teaches you how to think, where your mind is exposed, you can recreate and create things, and then you become more innovative, more built intellectually. And these are the kind of things that I'm looking at. But unfortunately, not too many people have access to this kind of opportunities. Not too many people have access to this quality system of education, which is very rare. I'm not saying that it's totally not available. I'm saying that it's quite rare. It's not reachable by a lot of people and the majority of people. So I am looking at a system of education that is accessible to people of all levels, a system of education that the rich and the poor and the handicapped, people living with disability, people in vulnerable community, and all of those kind of people can be able to access the same quality, not pay as you go. So these are the kind of system that I'm looking at. And I strongly believe that if we have a system of education that is supportive, a system of education that is intriguing, that exposes people to recreating new concepts, that is to a very large extent a pivotal for development. It is a great factor because if each of these people grow in their respective areas, they are able to recreate things. From there, that is where we begin to see a ripple effect of recreation, and that's how we can recreate our countries. We talk about young people not doing things, young people coming out from school and not doing, but what are the kind of system that had fed these young people? We look at a kind of system that even when these young people graduate, you can't employ a graduate as at today, as at this morning. You can employ a Nigerian graduate and not afford to do what we call a refresher training for them. You cannot. I am an employer of labor. I have a couple of people that are under my that works with us at our organization. I run 2 organizations. I run African Center for Educational Development, which is a not-for-profit organization. And then it has a training school, which is called Cleda Training School, which is a limited liability company as well. And I also run Daniel's Akpan International, which is a knowledge management company that is a for-profit company. So under these organizations, we have people that we have, and then we see people coming in, sending in applications, but when you get in touch with this graduate, you're just wondering, how did you manage to graduate from school? So you can't employ a Nigerian graduate and not afford to take them through the rudiments of the same things they were taught in school, or take them through the rudiments of the practicality of the things they were supposed to know. So our system of education is so focused on theory, and unfortunately in the real world, there is no space for that right now. So we need to change our concept to focusing more on practicality, on evidence, on soft skills, more in as much as we do on the theory. I'm not saying that the theories are not important, but since I graduated from school, nobody had asked me what the definition for glass technology is. Nobody had asked me for what are the materials and methods of the production of glass and all that. All those things became irrelevant the moment I dropped my certifications. I mean, the moment I picked up my certifications. They are not useful in real life. But if I was taught how to produce glass, how to do these things in real terms, maybe I would have been producing or doing a whole lot of things. And as a matter of fact, that was one of the reasons why I had to resign from my lecturing job, because the school, we don't have what it takes to impact productive knowledge. You just go there and chunk in, junk out, junk in, you just teach theories and all of those things. And the students are as confused as the lecturers are.
Oh,
Thank you.
so basically we need to have quality education, by making it more in line with what what is applicable. It should contain skills that people can transfer, in the job industry or labor markets. And then we need to make this education accessible to as many, people as possible, right? So as a leader who has had the privilege of meeting other world leaders, through the fellowship programs, what can you say, makes good a good leader? What are some of the qualities you've seen in them as well that makes them stand out as great leaders?
Okay, I'm going to say just a few because there are so many qualities that makes a leader stand out. And I'm going to be mentioning a few that I have seen among some of my mentors and some of the people, great leaders that I have had the privilege of meeting that I really admire. And one of those things are the ability to think independently. So the world wants to tell you what to think, how to think, where to go, what not to go. As long as you depend on the world, as long as you depend on that system of thoughts, as long as you want to fit in the box, you will never become a great leader. As long as you want to do the way everybody is doing it, everybody is going like this. If it is yay, the ears have it and the nays have it. As long as you don't want to offend people, as long as you want to remain a people pleaser, you will never go anywhere, or you will never go far, or that far, or so far. So one of the things that I've seen with great leaders is that they have this ability to, they don't mind standing alone if it comes to them standing alone. So they can risk anything to stand alone. So they don't mind being different. So if you mind being different, you want to fit into the box, you want to be like every other person, you won't have anything to distinct you from the other people that you want to be like. So you have to have the ability and have the courage to stand alone, even if it means you standing without your friends, standing without your family. At some point, there are times when you will need to stand alone and your family are like, I don't understand what you're doing. Like, you can't tell me as a young man that you're resigning from your job and you have a government paid with security and you're resigning from your job and your family is like, are you okay? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Now, at those times, there are times when you know that the steps you're taking are the right steps. People might not be able to understand you at that time, but you need to take your stand. You need to take your decision. You need to do what you think because you have an independent mind. You have calculated your risks and you have known that this is the best for you. Other people may not understand what is best for you at that instant. They may not understand the decision you're making. They may not be seeing the future. They may not have the vision that you have it. They may catch it up later in the future, but maybe at that particular instance, they are not catching it. So you need to know what you want, and then you need to be able to say, okay, this is what I want, and even if you're not going to stand by me, I'm ready to take up the risks. So I have seen great leaders do the same thing. And this is what most great leaders will be able to do. And another thing is the ability to make hard decisions. So you need to be able to make hard decisions, because as you begin to climb the leadership stairs, the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. Unfortunately, I wish anybody told me this when I was starting off, because we thought that you just look at some great people and be like, I want to be like this guy, I want to be like this lady, I want to be like this woman, I want to be like this man. But what we don't know is that we don't know the challenges and the difficulties that these guys are going through. So if you want and aspire to get to those high levels, I have seen these guys make terribly hard decisions. So we need also to be able to make hard decisions. Another thing that we need to do is to be consistent and committed. As young people, most of the times we just want to hit it once and for all, this boom. We just want to have a boom, like the get rich quick syndrome. It's just like we just think that the moment we just hit it, it goes off like that. No, it takes time. I mean, it takes a while for what we are aspiring to grow to fruition. So we need to be committed and consistent in our watering it. You can't compare yourself. You're planting a tree and someone else is planting a maize. In 6 months, the person planting maize is already harvesting his maize and eating it. Your tree may just have sprung a little. You cannot compare your process with theirs. So it will take you time to begin to water your mango tree, even when you're seeing the guy that planted maize is beginning to eat his harvest. It will take a foolish person to eat his seed when others are eating their harvest. So you need to begin to be committed and consistent in watering your plant, watering it. You may be wishing or willing to start up an organization, and you're seeing that in 2 years, 3 years, nothing is coming forth. But then those years that you're putting into your organization might be the foundational years. And the moment the foundational years are set up, you see that your organization begins to bloom. But then if you cut short the process within those period, you will not have anything. So there is need for consistency. There is need for commitment. In the process of this commitment and consistency, you're going to be building your foundation. You're going to be building, yourself, your morals. That's when you will know your true morals. Because in the process, somebody will come and tell you, take a bribe of 1 million naira and cut corners, and you need that 1 million. That is a test of your integrity. That is a test of your value. It's easy to say, I am a very committed, I'm a very I'm accountable, I am Mr. Integrity. You will not know who you are until when you're faced with hardship or when you're faced with difficulties in the moments when you need those things. So those tough times are going to be testing all these things that you have been claiming. The moment you come out successful in them, trust me, you begin to see the doors open on different platforms. These are some of the processes that I have personally gone through. Not that I've totally passed through them. I'm still going through a whole lot of testing periods. But I can say that I've gone through a whole lot. And for the past years, since 2014 that we have been running our organization till date, we have had to benefit from people who have come to trust us because of they have seen us consistently doing the same thing over a long period of time. I mean, there are times when it becomes so tough that you'll be thinking to yourself, I think I just need to quit this thing. It's not working. But you need to keep at it. This consistency is what will reward you in the near future. So these are the few things that I can recommend that I have seen other people who are successful exhibiting. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. That's a lot, Daniels. And I think you've said it all. The consistency, the ability to stand alone, standing on your ground when you have principles and morals you don't want to go against. It's really hard these days, most especially when there are pressures from every angle and people are dangling things that you probably need for the moment. It's really hard to stay on course. So there you have it. You need to be consistent. You need to, stand your ground and know what you want as a leader. So talking about your knowledge management company, that's Daniel's Akpan's International. So we would like to know what services you render.
Okay, Daniel's Akpan International is a non-for-profit. Daniel's Akpan International, I beg your pardon, is a for-profit company, and
Okay.
we run a knowledge management services specifically around. We help organizations and individuals to manage their resources in terms of their knowledge. So we help companies to write annual plan, annual operational plan, annual reports. We are in a world where funding for businesses, funding for non-for-profit is very, very important. And I don't think if there has been any time in the history of the world where there are more opportunities for businesses in Nigeria than there are right now. So there are lots of opportunities in terms of funding, in terms of development, and a whole lot. But the question is, how accessible are these opportunities to a lot of people? So, but in terms of the fundings, they are there. The funds are there, the opportunities are there, but the access to those opportunities, it's a discussion for another day. Now, we help companies and organizations, including individuals, to access these opportunities by way of helping them prepare for the necessary documentations that the funders, that the donors, that the investors will need. And some of those documents might be around your annual operational plan, might be around your annual report, might be around your activity report. A donor gives you money to conduct an activity. That donor requires an activity report. Now, the quality of your activity report or your annual report will determine whether they will give you another funding or not. But these are some of the things that we don't know.
Definitely.
Or a lot of people don't know. So we help companies, organizations, and civil society organizations to prepare qualitative annual program and operational reports. And we also conduct trainings in terms of different skill sets around the NGO, how to manage an NGO. We also help in resource mobilization in terms of training around grant writing and a whole lot. We do a lot of grant writing trainings. We help people assess grants, and we also help them to manage the grants. And we also do consultancy for people who wish to start up a business, start up an NGO, and human resource services in terms of what to do to build capacities for their staff and all that. So these are the few things that Daniel's Akpan International does. And you might wish to check up our website on www.danielsakpaninternational.com and see some of the things that we are doing. And we are looking forward to working with as many young people to see how we can support them. Thank you.
So are there programs, maybe training programs or opportunities that your organization offers that people on this particular call can benefit from, that young people can benefit from?
We have a couple of programs that we are running, but one of the programs that I think that people in this platform might be interested in the most might be specifically our grant writing training, because that one is something that everybody needs resources to leverage on. People need resources to ace their businesses. If you have a company, you have a business, you have an NGO, you have a program or a project, you need resources to run them. So our grant writing trainings are maybe one of the trainings or that I think that people in this platform might be interested in, and I will refer you to our website. Please check up on our website. The last grant writing training course we had was for last 2 months ago, and we'll be having another one in September next month. So for those who are interested, we will keep you informed, and please check up on our website. And our trainings, we are quite informative, they are quite interactive, and we engage with, we share experience, because I would say this, that a lot of grant writing trainings don't give everything in terms of some of the secret things, underground secret components that makes some applications more outstanding. So we want you to be successful, and because we know that your success is on the long run our own success. We want your success story to be our success story. So we are very open to helping you. And after the training, we also provide mentorship in terms of if you want to additional support after the training, we are open to helping you get that additional support. We'll mentor you through your applications and all that. So I think this is something that might interest a couple of people that are listening to me right now. So you can check up our website on www.danielsakpaninternational.com. I will make a post. I will drop the website on the chat box.
Okay,
for those
so yes, exactly. So you can drop the websites and your social media handles as well. Facebook, your LinkedIn. So those who are interested in what you do can follow up and get updates. While he's doing that, any question? Does anyone have questions for Daniel's Akpan?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, Joy.
My name is Joy Anthony. Thank you, Daniel, for sharing your experience and what you do. I was really happy when I had a response about the quality education, because that is a field I work presently. Even though in school I read biochemistry, but I found myself in the development space and I work under education. So talking about your experience where you grew up, I also grew up in Kaduna State, and sharing your experience, I've also, like, as you are speaking, I was there, like, thinking of also the environment I grew up. But these I had some little opportunity to go, not to the maybe government school, to a private school. But the question I want to ask, in Nigeria, the rate of out of school children is high. And we have like two data, 10.5, we're talking of 13.5. So I just want to ask, what do you think is maybe the strategy the government can use to now enroll high rate of out of school children into school? Remember the Global Education Summit that just finished, the president made a commitment to increase the education budget. But I just want, from your own perception or what you think, what are those things you think the government can do to bring in this out of school children, especially from your experience you shared, like some of maybe your classmates then in school, some of them didn't really continue, maybe they started other trade but what do you think the government can do to bring in these children that are out of school into school? That is just my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that question. I suppose this is Joy. Thank you, Joy. And as a matter of fact, education is a very core for me. Education is my core area. I have two thematics that I work on, maybe three. I work in education, I work in youth, editing around youth, and I work in development. So these are my specific core areas of interventions. And I am also the African representative for the Africa Europe Task Force. So this task force is a task force that brings all the leaders in Africa, the presidents, including His Excellency President Buhari, and all the presidents of Africa, the leaders of Africa, and the leaders of Europe together to think about a way forward for Africa and Europe in the most common ways that things bind these two continents together. So I was nominated as a youth representative for the Africa Europe Task Force. And my responsibility is to speak to this leadership about what these leaders can do to improve education in Africa. And one of the things that I have been able to speak with them or that we have been championing, it's around safety or around security. For example, I'll give you an experience from Kaduna State. Now, we have in Kaduna State, the government had come out to say that schools will not be resuming at the specified time that schools are supposed to resume. Why? Because of insecurity. Now, a lot of children in Kaduna State, and not just in Kaduna State, a whole lot of places around northern Nigeria have been kidnapped in the process of going to school. So going to school, people have fears of going to school. And may I also remind you that the out-of-school children, which is rated at about 13.2 million out-of-school children, which is the highest in the whole world, majority of these out-of-school children are in northern Nigeria. Now, it is the same northern Nigeria that is bedeviled by insecurity. It is the same northern Nigeria that children are being kidnapped from schools. It is the same northern Nigeria that even those who had a passion, even those who are willing to go to school, can no longer go to school because of insecurity. It is the same northern Nigeria that you see military forces escorting children to school. Now, how many military forces can be escorting children to school and back? Now, if we are able to address the issue of insecurity, that will give people confidence to allow their children. Now I want to send my children to school, for example, and I'm thinking of ransom money. If my child gets kidnapped, I would rather want to keep the child. It's better to be seeing my child than to have my child being kidnapped. Number two, I'm going to share a few, just one sample of talking around insecurity, an example. One of the Chibok girls that got kidnapped within the period of that Chibok kidnap just got released not too long. And the girl came back with 2 children. She was reunited with her family and she's coming back with 2 children. This is a girl that went to school to study and then she is returning back after several years with 2 children. How many parents want to see their children in that kind of situation? And she's coming back with a child or 2 children for whoever they are not aware of. How many parents will be comfortable with having their children go through that kind of experience? Now, by the reason of insecurity alone, many parents would have a very cogent reason not to send their wards to school, and it is totally understandable for them. So the government should address the issue of insecurity. That's one. Number two is the issue of government funding. Our schools are underfunded, with all respect to the government. Our schools are highly underfunded. We have schools that the funding allocations for our schools do not meet up with the UNESCO recommendations. And especially that we, in Africa, we're already lagging behind in terms of education, and then we're not meeting up even to the minimum of UNESCO recommendations. So we need to do more funding. And I'm happy to see that the President, His Excellency, President Buhari had, declared that they are going to increase funding for education in the last summit. And this is a very welcome development. Now, this is a proclamation, and we're hoping to see that this is put into, we would like to see that proclamation reflected in the 2022 budget and subsequent budget. So funding is very important, and security is very important. And above all, we need to see implementation of policies. In Kaduna State, I was one of the people who advocated for the free education for all young people, children in schools in Kaduna State. And I'm glad to see in my lifetime that the governor came out and declared free education for all girls. And currently today, we have free education for the boys as well. However, it doesn't end there. There needs to be a policy on ground, a strategy, and a framework that emphasizes on enforcement and implementation of the policies. It's one thing to have a policy, it's another thing to implement the policy. Now, we need to see that I'm glad Kaduna State has an education task force that goes around and apprehends children they see around the street. The same thing in Akwa Ibom and different states that enforces education compliances. So these are some of the strategies that I think that the government needs to put in place to ensure that education is is accessible by a lot of people, and then education is not just accessible, but it's qualitative. We look at countries like Rwanda. We see how private schools are going out of business because government schools are becoming too competitive for private schools to thrive with. This is a wonderful thing. Now, why do I need to be paying huge fee when the government is giving free education? And it's not just free, but it's qualitative. This makes education accessible by everyone. In 2019, I was one of the people who went to Rwanda, and we did the embodying of 15,000 teachers through the 1 million teacher program. It's a Canadian program that seeks to close the teacher shortage gap in Africa. And this program came into Nigeria, and the Nigerian government were not willing to buy into the project. And then Rwandan government bought into the project, and in the first pilot program, 15,000 teachers in Rwanda was enrolled. I am not saying what I read in the paper, I am saying what I was the one who went to onboard these teachers in Rwanda. Now, we see that governments in Rwanda have a will to improve education. There is the willpower. And I think that in Nigeria, one of the things that we need is also the willpower. We need the willpower. Our government needs to be proactive, and they need to be willing to take a stand around education. Improve education going forward in Nigeria. Thank you, Joy, for the question.
Thank you, Daniels. I guess that should be it. Is Ayodele raising his hands? Ayodele, if you have a question or contribution, just in a minute or so, quickly, please.
Okay, thank you. Well done, Mr. Daniels Akpan.
Thank you, Mr.
You are doing a great job. And I want to just, I don't know why this is just running about education. I studied medical laboratory science, but with my passion for education, I have to go back to university to study education. Currently, I'm in senior level, but my surprise is that I think when I was in senior level, some of the courses we were taking, it baffles me to see how wonderful those, the content of the curriculum. Now, seeing yourself in the class and not seeing the replication of what the lecturer is teaching you, even from the lecturer himself. From teachers, you don't see. I now wonder, does that mean those people were taught this thing they are teaching us now? Why are they not doing it? Now, you were talking of employability of Nigerian graduates and all those things. I want to ask, what are you doing differently? Because personally, I'm determined to change the narrative, educationally. That's from my own side. But I want to ask, what are you doing differently from those teachers, from those lecturers, to change the educational narrative in Nigeria and Africa at large, in your organization or in your educational institutions?
Thank you so much for this question. And I'm going to answer this question in two folds. In the first fold, I'm going to answer it from the perspective of a lecturer. I have been a lecturer for 6 years in one of the high institutions in Kaduna State. And I started lecturing in 2013. I lectured from 2013 to 2019. So I have been lecturing all this while. Now, as a lecturer, one of the things that I can say that I have tried to do differently is to, in my method of lecturing, I have tried to be more proactive in my lecturing to ensure that I don't just do word for word. I think in my institution, I would say that I was the first, if not the only lecturer that has done oral tests for students. So in the sense that I understand that there are students who are very good in talking, but they are not good in writing. So we have students that are different in their perception, in the manner and way that they conduct themselves. So I've tried in as much as I can to imbibe all manners or all levels to engage with my students in terms of how I conduct my lecture. And besides that, while I was lecturing, I was also not doing lecturing alone. I was also doing career guidance and counseling services for my students. So I've tried to engage my students at all levels. I've tried to engage them at different levels. And leaving the lecturing and coming into on my own organization, I have developed series of programs and projects that have impacted, as at today, we have impacted over 120,000 students across 8 African countries. Now, we have developed a lot of programs and projects that have reached out to students. While I was in school, I was using my influence to organize projects, employability skills, holding soft skills training as a lecturer for students in my schools. So these were specific things that I was doing. I was holding exchange programs for my students with other schools. I was doing a whole lot of different things to build their soft skills in addition to the hard skills they were learning. And of course, I was not able to be practical because the equipment to develop or produce what you are teaching them is not available because the school don't have the equipment, and I can't do nothing about those ones. But for the soft skills that I had the opportunity to build on them, I of course did that. Like I mentioned, I have 3 organizations that I'm running. African Center for Education Development is focused on education. Not too long, we got a grant from the University of Colorado in the US. And that grant centered around helping students in Nigeria to grow. And from that grant, we have trained a whole lot of students in Kaduna State. We have trained from Ahmadu Bello University, from Kaduna State University, from NDA, from Kaduna State Polytechnic, from Nuhu Bamalli Polytechnic. We have trained a lot of students under that grant. We have had other grants as well that we have been using to train a whole lot, both students and teachers. our project, our organization is also open to providing opportunity for internship, skill development sessions for students. As I speak with you now, in my office, I have a lot of students that are schooling and are coming up, and are interning in our organization as a means to build their skills and help them to grow. So we have a couple of things that we are doing, and I might just recommend that you check up our website on www.cledarafrica.org and read some of our reports around some of the projects we do. There's a project we just had, which is the Arewa Girls Forum. It has 769 girls from Northern Nigeria, out of school girls and in-school girls that we are training. And we just did graduation for 133 free program that we did for them. So there's a whole lot that we are doing. We are not just talking, we are talking from our experiences. So we want to do something that we can always say, go and check. So there is always a record. There's always a reference to what we are doing. So you have a stronger voice when you're not just talking. If you're just talking, you don't make any difference. But when you have something, there is impact, there is record, there is proof, you're able to say, this is what we're doing. And because of this thing that we're doing, we think that this and this and this can help the country grow in this manner. So we have all that, and you can check that up on our website. Thank you so much for your question, by the way.
Wow. That's quite a lot from you, Mr. Daniels. And honestly, we are very grateful. We appreciate you for your time, for your interest in this leadership. Thank you so much. And that would be all. I'll be creating the breakout room sessions where we can network and continue the discussion from there. But the event ends here, and the YouTube link will be available. The video is streaming online, so you can always go there and catch up on things. So thank you very much, Mr. Daniels, and thank you to everyone too. All right, see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.